9, and then women's lacrosse 7. Welcome, everyone, to Southern Virginia University Men's Lacrosse here from the fields at Southern Virginia University. I'm Jim Bresnahan, joined by Seth Hansen. It is Senior Day, and we're going to be honoring 4 seniors before this huge men's lacrosse contest with York College, York Spartans, the competition today. And first up, being honored here for the seniors here at Southern Virginia University is Greg Gowdy. Greg, a reliable defender for the Knights, starting every game in the past couple of years. In 2016, he recorded 33 ground balls. He was second on the team with 10 caused turnovers, and this year he recorded his second career assist against Mary Washington. Greg, majoring in business leadership and management, and he'll graduate later this month. He has been named to the CAC All-Academic Team twice, and he is escorted by his wife, Marion, and his parents, David and Norleen Gowdy.
Next, we have Kieran Giroux, his nickname being Kiwi. Kiwi is a 4-year player and has started every game the past 2 seasons as a defender. The Annapolis, Maryland native has picked up 89 ground balls over his career and has been a key part in the Knights' growing success the past 4 years. As a freshman, he recorded a pair of goals. Kiwi will graduate with a degree in business leadership and management. Last year, he earned CAC All-Academic Honors and was named to the spring semester provost list. He is escorted today by his wife, Alexis, parents Richard and Muriel, and brother Aiden.
And there you see another one of the seniors being honored today, Ryan Larson. He's from Mesa, Arizona, 4-year starter at midfield for the Knights. Consistently one of the Southern Virginia University top offensive threats, recording 36 goals and 17 assists over his career. In the season opener against Marymount, he recorded his 3rd hat trick of his career, and he's majoring in business management and leadership. He'll graduate later on this month, and he is being escorted today by his wife, Whitney Larson.
And last but certainly not least, our final senior is Casey Rich. Casey will finish his career as the top goal scorer in Southern Virginia men's lacrosse history with 121 goals and counting. Last year, he ranked 4th in the conference in goals with 49. Casey was named to the All-CAC second team in 2015 and was first team All-CAC in 2016. He has been a key part in the Knights' growing success these past 3 years. The Buffalo, New York native will graduate with a degree in business management and leadership. He is escorted today by his wife, Sierra.
So there you go, the 4 seniors, and Greg Gowdy, Kiwi Giroux, Ryan Larson, Casey Rich. We talked about this, Seth, of course, earlier this week in the last webcast during the Frostburg game. Is kind of mixed reactions on Senior Day. You really want to honor these guys who have done so much for the lacrosse program over several years, but sorry to see him go, too.
Yeah, definitely huge loss. These guys have really paved the way, though, been real pioneers as we see this lacrosse men's lacrosse program take these next steps and start being a threat in the Capital Conference. And these guys have a huge part to do with it. They've been here 4 years. They've put in the time. They've set the tempo and the level of talent you want to see here at Southern Virginia going forward.
So it'll be Southern Virginia getting ready to host York. The Spartans of York College 5-0 in the Capital Conference, 13-1 on the season. Knights are 2-4 in the conference, 4-7 overall. We're going to take a little break here from the fields at Southern Virginia University. Welcome back to the fields at Southern Virginia University. Again, Jim Bresnahan here with you, along with Seth Hansen, getting ready to bring you the Knights and also the York Spartans. Again, York is nationally rated in the top 10, Seth. They are 5-0 in the conference, 13-1 overall on the season. Their only loss this season was a tough double overtime loss to Lynchburg back on March the 4th. And since then, they have won 9 straight games. They'll be facing a Southern Virginia team that's 2-4 in the conference, 4-7 overall. Of course, the Knights are coming off that extremely tough loss against Frostburg on Wednesday. And you just wonder which team will show up tonight for the Knights. Will it be the team that played a tremendous game for 3 quarters of that Frostburg game on Wednesday? Really, basically, for everything but the opening couple of minutes and the closing couple of minutes. And will it be, maybe that team that's got to come in with a lot of confidence and momentum despite suffering that tough 1-point loss on Wednesday to Frostburg? Or will it be the team that kind of struggled against Frostburg in the opening minutes and certainly the last 2 minutes, and maybe that team that is still reeling from that loss and maybe thinking about last Wednesday as opposed to the big challenge facing them today?
Yeah, well, I believe, and we've talked about this, Jim, if that team that played most of that game on Wednesday, if that team shows up, they have a shot to beat anyone, and they're certainly going to need it if they're going to take down York today. As you mentioned, ranked in the top 10 for Division III men's lacrosse. Actually, their official ranking is 3rd as of now, led by Coach Brandon Childs. This is his 6th season as the York head coach, last year making the NCAA tournament. They lost in the Elite 8 in double overtime, so this team is certainly experienced, and they know what it takes to be a success. If the Knights want to win today, I think the defense that we saw against Frostburg really shut them down in those instances where Frostburg wasn't on the fast break, but they were trying to run their offense, completely shut them down. If they can replicate that, they could give themselves a chance to win here today.
And what do they have to do differently? I mean, again, the last 2 home games against Mary Washington and also against Frostburg, the Knights, got behind the 8 ball early. They gave up their first 4 goals, I think, in both those games and fell behind 4-0. In the Frostburg game, they were able to overhaul Frostburg and actually take an 8-6 lead and a 10-8 lead. In fact, again, they had a 10-8 lead with about 2 minutes to go. Gave up a goal to make it 10-9, then actually stopped an attempt by Frostburg to score at 10-9, and actually had a chance to clear the ball with, I think, about 60 to 70 seconds left in the game. And if they're able to get that ball out of their zone, quite possibly they could have run the clock out and claimed a 10-9 victory. But credit Frostburg in knocking the ball loose from Juro before he could get out of his defensive area. They turned around and scored seconds later, and this one you think the game, okay, maybe go into overtime instead. The Knights playing a little soft on defense and allowing another great shot by Frostburg, and they were able to score with 14 seconds to go. So that was such a tough game because arguably from midpoint of the first quarter to maybe really the last 3 or 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, the Knights played their best lacrosse of the entire season.
Yeah, the key thing I think you mentioned there, Jim, was the slow start. It got down to a 4-0 deficit real early. In any sport, lacrosse, football, basketball, baseball, I don't care what it is so hard to be playing catch-up the entire game. Your game plan changes, your mindset kind of changes. what you want to see from the Knights here to break that nasty habit of these slow starts is you want to see him win the faceoff, and you want to see him put the pressure on York to start, because if you can get that early lead, you're able to relax and play with confidence, and that's what you got to have that against a team like York today. I'm sure Coach Lamb has been preaching that all week in practice. I think without a doubt, of course, we've mentioned Coach Lamb isn't one for moral victories. He wants to see that victory on the scoreboard, but from a moral victory standpoint, this team took a big step on Wednesday. They really came together as a team. Unfortunately, lost it at the end, but they played better that game than they have all season. So you want to see a fast start replicated with the rest of that game defensively that you saw.
Yeah, you can't do it, but if you take out the first 4 goals plus the last 3 that Frostburg scored when they were down 10-8, the Knights actually outscored them 10-4 in between.
Oh, yeah, and so you just see that there. You see the talent they have. You see that when they play together as a team, they're very tough to beat. They just haven't played that way consistently through the season, but we saw them put together almost a complete game Wednesday. If they can do it here, then York better watch out. I know York comes in heavy favorites. They're looking forward to a top seed, one of the top seeds in the conference tournament. But they can't sleep on Southern Virginia here today. If they play how they did Wednesday, they better watch out and be ready, because Southern Virginia's coming for them.
That just shows you how tough the Capital Conference is. I mean, Salisbury is still the number 1 team in the country and the number 1 team in the Capital Conference. And if you're figuring on only 2 teams making it from the Capital Conference into the Division III national tournament, I mean, if let's say Salisbury is almost automatic unless they get upset. I mean, can you imagine trying to pick between Christopher Newport, Frostburg, York, just to name a few?
Yeah, I'm certainly glad I don't have that job, Jim. That's definitely one of the tougher ones. And it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how the tournament plays out. Of course, Southern Virginia is still hoping to make the tournament, even as one of the lower seeds. I know their mindset is just get in the tournament and play your best and see what happens. And I think Coach Lamb has them ready here today.
And look out for number 38 for York. That is Brendan McGrath, and number 28, Thomas Pfeiffer. Together, those 2 guys have 67 goals, 39 for Brendan McGrath and 28 goals for Thomas Pfeiffer. So we'll see how much of a factor those 2 guys are, as Logan Lund immediately starts the game winning the draw, but then he tries to fire a pass ahead. It's rolling out of bounds. And it looks like York's going to get it. So that was a case where Logan Lund, who's been doing pretty well of late, winning draws, just wasn't able to fully escape with possession. And as a result, York will start now with this possession.
Yeah, it's good to see, though. It's good to see Logan Lund pick up where he left off on Wednesday. Played really well, winning the majority of the draws against Frostburg. We're going to need that today if Southern Virginia wants to make a push.
And you know these seniors want to go out on a victorious note when it comes to their last home game. Right now, of course, the Knights 2-4 in the Capital Conference, and starting to look like right now, unless they really pull the big upset today, they're going to have to beat Wesley in about a week or so on the road to clinch a spot in the Capital Conference tournament. And right now it looks like you can forget about maybe a home game in the opening round of the Capital Conference tournament.
Yeah, unfortunately, these last 2 games really hurt their chances, but they're still alive. And they know going into this, they need this victory if they can to really help them, but they also have to take care of business, like you mentioned, Jim, at Wesley.
And I can't imagine York will come in and maybe take the Knights lightly. I'm sure that their coaches, if they didn't show them film for the Frostburg game on Wednesday, probably reminded them over and over again as to what happened as the Knights were able to make a deflection there and take it away. Good defense by the Knights, but I'm sure that the York coaches have talked repeatedly about what happened to Frostburg here on Wednesday and how close they came to losing.
Yeah, I'm sure York, you don't become – there we
Casey
go.
Ridge scores. Good low shot by Casey, his 28th goal of the season. And unlike the last 2 home games, the last 3 really with the Salisbury game, the Knights actually, for the first time in a while here at home, score first. And we'll see if that is a huge factor.
Huge way to start for the Knights. Just as we talked about in pregame, you want to come out. You don't want to be playing from behind. First time in a while, and at least in the broadcast we've done, where they've had a lead here, huge. And now you just look for Logan Lund to win this face-off and maintain possession here.
And yet another reason for York not to take the Knights lightly today. So Logan Lund ready to take this draw. Battle for it. Logan trying to scoop it up. Knocked to the turf.
Good effort.
And the Knights are going to have it.
Good work here now. Keep attacking. Keep attacking. The biggest thing you can do, York, I'm sure the Knights are looking at York. They're kind of a bully in the conference. You want to look at them. You want to hit them in the mouth because bullies don't like to get hit in the mouth. You hit them, you strike first, and you keep going. They're not going to know what's happening.
And maybe like we talked about in the pregame, Seth, the Knights realize better to play with the lead than to play from behind, and perhaps they really do have a lot of confidence coming after that narrow loss to Frostburg. And maybe they'll come out today and show it in the first quarter by jumping on top of York even further than a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, I think, against a team of this caliber, again, third in the nation, you can't ever have a big enough lead. They have all the talent in the world, but if you play as a team, you can accomplish anything. I've learned that in my time playing sports. I've seen big upsets. All that matters is that team chemistry and believe in each other.
High pass over Cade Rich out of bounds. Turnover there by the Knights. It looked like they were trying to pass the ball around the perimeter, trying to lull York to sleep a little bit, maybe try to get a little one-on-one move going once York really came out and started pressing. But the turnover will give it back to the York Spartans. And now York will go on to the attack here in a 1-0 game in the first quarter.
One thing, Jim, I think the Knights looking for on defense, I don't know if this is necessarily part of Coach Lamb's game plan, but I would think you want to be physical. You want to get in these guys' head because when there's a really good team and you let them just operate and run their offense, that's when bad things start to happen. You want to be physical, force them to make these passes. You got to play discipline on defense. You don't want to give any open lanes up, but I would be up in their face. I would be that annoying defender that no one wants to play against.
York trying to make a move out front.
And right there, that's what you want to see. You want to see that stick. You want to body up the guys, make everything they do difficult.
But that one goes in for the York Spartans as they made a nice inside move, and it looked like that was Dylan Hannon, number 44, I believe, getting the goal.
Yeah, like we said, just got out of a position there. It was the right mindset. You want to body these guys up, but York, they're very skilled. You got to play discipline.
That's his 14th goal of the season. Coming out of here Wednesday after the loss, I heard Jason Lamb talking to the team, and he talked about it. He also mentioned it to me later on about it's just they've taken steps, the Knights have, and they almost took the huge step, a signature victory on Wednesday against Frostburg. Now they just have to continue to believe in themselves and keep on advancing. Logan Lund trying to win this draw. Ball pops loose, and it's up in the air. Spartans grab it out of the air. And so York will have the possession in a 1-1 game. You mentioned really playing aggressively, physically with the defenders for the Knights, Seth, and that was something the Knights actually did a pretty good job in several quarters on Wednesday against Frostburg, shutting them down really in quarters 2 and 3 especially, but it just seemed like in the last couple of minutes they kind of backed off a little bit, kind of collapsed their defense, allowed York to get some good looks at some shots, Frostburg, and credit Frostburg on Wednesday taking advantage of it. Again, scoring 3 times, I think, in 2 minutes and twice in the final 60 seconds, and Carson Franklin blocks that shot.
Yeah, I think whatever you had rolling on defense on Wednesday, you got to imagine it's the same type of game plan coming into today.
Another shot taken outside by York, and scoring again are the York Spartans. That time it is Joseph, number 11, getting the goal, and that's his 11th goal of the season. So quick, York, 2 scores by the Spartans after they fell behind 1-0, and now the Spartans have their first lead today.
It was a pretty deep shot by the Spartan attackman there. It's pretty safe to say I think York is a much better offensive team than Frostburg is. But it would be huge, going back to time of possession. If Southern Virginia can start grabbing these faceoffs, and Logan Lund's done a good job here, just hasn't been able to corral to maintain that possession. But if you can start winning these faceoffs and playing in their zone, it really limits York's opportunities.
Logan Lund, Billy Sasso, number 24, and Logan Lund gets the win on this draw for the Knights. Boy, that's strange, too. Number 11 for York, Joseph.
Oh, wow. That's definitely pretty interesting.
So the Knights will try to get the equalizer after scoring first, giving up a couple of goals now. And the Knights will go on offense, trying to tie this game. The York Spartans again coming in with a record undefeated in the Capital Conference, 5-0, 13-1 of the season. Again, their only loss was to Lynchburg. It was a double overtime loss, and they've not lost since that game. They've won 9 in a row. as Sean Lamb takes it behind. Lamb looking for a little opening. Nice pass to Tunick. Tunick getting free, and the ball comes loose, and the goalkeeper for York makes the stop and picks up the ball, and back the other way come the Spartans. This was a situation on Wednesday where Frostburg really took advantage of the Knights with a fast break on several occasions, and York scores again. That was Thomas Pfeiffer. Pfeiffer, second leading goal scorer this season for the York Spartans, picked up his 29th, and it looked like York took advantage a little bit of the fast break opportunity and kind of took the Knights defense a little bit off guard there.
Yeah, and they're going to need they're going to need Franklin in goal. He's going to have to be making some real big saves. He's got to dial it in and start seeing that ball from deep. York's shown that they're going to shoot from deep. They don't care where it's at. So they've got to start dialing it in.
Sasso is 150 out of 230 into the game, coming into the game today with the draws, so he's got a pretty good percentage, almost 2/3 of winning draws. And looks like the battle for the ball. Let's see who's going to grab it and who's going to be awarded possession. Looks like it'll go to York. So the Spartans, after falling behind 1-0, 3 quick goals since then. And now the Knights really have to get tough defensively. They don't want to fall behind here 4-1. Good crowd on hand today. Another very busy sports weekend for Southern Virginia University. Men's volleyball was in action at 11 o'clock this morning and also scheduled to face Marymount around 1 o'clock this afternoon. We'll keep you abreast of anything we can get on the volleyball scores. Men's volleyball, of course, winning Friday night to go to 21-5 on the season. These are the last 2 scheduled matches of the regular season. Knights would love to get a doubleheader sweep and somehow, Seth, get that at-large bid for the postseason tournament.
Yeah, we've talked about how there was kind of a feel around the volleyball program and athletics in general here at Southern Virginia that if they could sweep and finish out this weekend, they might have a shot at making that tournament, which would be unbelievable in their inaugural season.
Men's baseball was also in action today, hosting Marymount. Try to get you some score updates there. The Knights were losing the first game over at Rockbridge County High School against Marymount. In women's lacrosse, the women were playing at York today. We'll try to get you score updates on that. And the softball team also playing on the road today at York for a doubleheader. York taking a lot of time off the clock on this possession with a 3-1 lead. Knights really backing it in. York trying to find an opening over on the left side. Pass back to the left. Shot comes from the right. Franklin blocks it, and the Knights grab it. Pulling it out of the air for Southern Virginia was Giroux.
Ball's come loose, still on the ground here.
And now York's got it back. So just when it looked like the Knights had made a successful stop and might have a shot at an offensive possession, York passes outside. 3-1 lead for the Spartans. Pass back to the left to Pfeiffer. Now they work it in front, and a great save by Franklin.
Good work there by Franklin.
Wow, how did he stop that point-blank shot?
That's definitely what they're going to need more of if they're going to have any shot today. But you see, Jim, you just see York working the ball. They don't make bad passes. They're really crisp, and they're quick. They're not, even though they're not necessarily shooting the ball at the net, they're quick in all their passes. Their guys are moving without the ball, trying to create opportunities, and they don't make mistakes, which means Southern Virginia cannot be out of position on defense, and you've got to find a way to get your sticks up, deflect a ball, and force a turnover. Somehow, some way, you've got to find a way to do it.
Now we'll see if the Knights can battle back and get goal number 2 and try to pull to within 1 of the third-rated team in the country, the York Spartans. Casey Rich with it over to Tunick now. Not a good pass. Got by Cade Rich. Luckily, Larson is there to scoop it up. Knights have to be careful. You only get so many possessions against a team as talented as York.
Yeah, you've got to make the most of your opportunities here.
Cade Rich couldn't flag that one down and loses it. So another turnover for the Knights. They have kind of struggled after getting the game's opening goal. Back comes York on a quick break, and they score again. That is number 28, Pfeiffer, getting his second goal today. That'll be his 30th of the season. York now has 4 straight goals.
I'm sure York definitely paid attention to that Frostburg film and noticed that they could take advantage of these fast break opportunities. You saw there working the ball well in front of the goal.
And so the Knights, after taking a 1-0 lead, suddenly York has come roaring back with 4 straight goals. Lund and Sasso will go again on the draw. And Logan Lund grabs it and then loses it. Ball on the ground, picked up by the Spartans. And so another draw that was almost won, or basically won, Seth, by the Knights. But Logan Lund was not able to fully escape with possession of the ball, and now York's with a 4-1 lead got it again. Pfeiffer, number 28, has a couple of goals here in this first quarter. Hannah, Joseph have the other 2. Knights trying to force a turnover. York has not had too many problems with turnovers in this first quarter. Spartans also brought a few fans with them from York, Pennsylvania for today's game. And I guess when you're third in the country, you're going to have a good following.
Yeah, kind of like Salisbury had a big following too with that number 1 ranking. York reminds me a lot of Salisbury right now, just watching them. The best teams out there in all sports, they do the little things masterfully. They don't make mistakes. They let the other team make mistakes, and then they take advantage of those mistakes, and they're working it well right now.
Speaking of Salisbury, they're playing Frostburg today. Quick shot goes off to the right, and I would imagine perhaps, I haven't checked the schedule, but I'm going to guess in the next, the regular season will end, I believe, next Saturday. So in the next few games, next few days, York and Salisbury will play, and we'll see, I guess. Basically, you're talking about 2 undefeateds between Salisbury and York in the Capital Conference, barring a big upset today by the Knights.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be fun if you're a fan of lacrosse, if you're a fan of the Capital Conference. That ball's on the ground, still maintained by York. But if you're a fan of any of that, it'd be fun to watch and keep tabs on as the season enters into getting closer to postseason play and what happens with the NCAA tournament.
York looking for an opening. They've done a great job here in this 4-0 run by not only controlling the ball and getting shots, but running a lot of clock too. Knights don't necessarily really have any problem with the clock winding down and the game being shortened against a team as talented as York. But obviously, if you're going to do that, you want to have a 4-1 lead and not a 4-1 deficit.
Yeah, and if that clock's coming off, you want that to be because you're holding onto the ball, not because your defense is on its heels.
York takes another shot. Another good block by Franklin. But Pfeiffer right behind there, closest to it. Franklin really under besiege here in this first quarter as the Spartans try again to look for an opening. That's 28, Pfeiffer, who's got a couple of goals in this first quarter. Oh, a point-blank pass, and somehow one of the Spartans got free, and an easy goal for the Spartans. That is number 38, their top goal scorer, Brendan McGrath. That's his 40th goal of the season. And, boy, he just got wide open, too close to the goal.
Yeah, that wasn't because York is this amazing team, which they are very good. But the point is if you're going to let any team get that position in front of the goal, there's nothing Carson Franklin can do. Just point blank, you've got to shore up your defense. And I don't know that I've played some big football games against some really good teams, and I definitely know being the underdog, sometimes you feel like you've got to go out and do these amazing things beyond your abilities. You really don't. You've just got to play your game plan. That's what you've got to do. You dial it in and run it masterfully, and it works, especially with Coach Lamb at the helm. He knows what he's talking about. Don't try and get outside your zone. Just play the game you know and give yourself a shot.
And try not to remember, or try not really to think, I guess, that York is third in the country as the Spartans take another shot. Blocked, but it's saved. After the save was made by Franklin, the ball popped up in the air, and yet another goal scored. And I believe it was McGrath again, number 38, who was just right there on the spot. The ball popped loose. It was a great save by Franklin, but he didn't corral it. The ball came up in the air, and credit York again. The ball were able to pull the ball out of the air, and at that point, no way for Franklin to stop that second shot.
Yeah, just very unlucky on Franklin's part. Good save. That's, what he was looking for, trying to go switch the possession, but just popped out of his stick and not much else he could do after that.
And so we'll see if the Knights, after this timeout, can try to stop the bleeding because York has now scored 6 in a row. By the way, fans, gear.svu.edu, the official online store of Southern Virginia University Athletics. You can gear up for the summer with all kinds of outdoor and tailgating equipment and apparel. Again, that is gear.svu.edu. So a timeout of the field here. 2:31 to go first quarter, Seth. And after the Knights were able to get the first goal of the game, and a Casey Rich goal, York has come roaring back with 6 straight goals.
Yeah, and I think you were kind of alluding to it, Jim, before that last goal happened. You talk about how you don't want to be inside your head thinking about, we're playing the third team in the nation, because half the reason these teams are so good is that intimidation factor. You once you start playing a game inside your own head that you're against this amazing opponent, you play differently. You don't play as well. You got to remember, these kids are the same age. They're not bigger than you. They're not faster than you. They put their pads on the same way to get ready for the game. You've got to relax and play the game. It's a lot easier said than done.
Yep.
But you've got to find a way to do it. If you want to win, if you want to have a shot against these upper echelon teams, you've got to find a way to just shut all that intimidation out and play your game.
Yeah, I mean, as you were talking about, it's not really a physical thing. The Knights have some great physical players like Casey Rich. I mean, it's not really that they're bigger or faster as much as, confidence, I guess, might come into play, but certainly team chemistry too.
Yeah, team chemistry is everything. And a lot of these teams, too, they have more seniors than we're seeing with the Knights. These guys who have played in the program, and it's the younger guys have had a chance to work their way in versus the Knights. They only have 4 seniors on the roster. They're playing a handful of younger guys. We've mentioned Sean Lamb is a freshman but made such a big impact. And it's a building process, and Coach Lamb knows that, and he's doing a good job of it. He's laying a great foundation. The program has made some steps this season, but going forward, you've got to work on that chemistry and work on that confidence.
And sometimes it's just a matter of avoiding mistakes. The Knights have had some turnovers where they've had possession, either won the draw or perhaps just had possession, like Logan Lund here wins the draw, has a stick knocked away, and the ball pops loose, and just like that, a draw that was won, Seth, but then basically a turnover.
Yeah, and good work by Logan. He's really being the quick man off there. He's winning most of these draws. He's got to find someone to pass it to, though, because York, they're aggressive going in that midfield. They're looking to knock the ball away, and Logan's shown that at times he's prone to have the ball knocked out of his stick, and they're taking advantage of it. So he's got to find a way to dish it off and give his offense a chance.
Yeah, I know when you come out of there with it, there's the possibility, I guess, of just going right down the field and taking a shot, which does happen occasionally for those who win draws, but more often than not, you want to win that draw and quickly get it to a teammate.
Yeah, Logan, once he wins that, he's got to assume someone's behind him. Someone that's a long stick midi, someone with that longer stick.
And another goal scored by the York Spartans. This time it is Austin Glab, a sophomore, scoring from outside. And let's see, that'll be, as far as his goal scores for the season, that is his 21st goal of the season. So that is 7 straight goals by the York Spartans. We were talking about the mistakes, and again, the Knights have won some draws in this first quarter, had possessions, but they've actually had a few turnovers. And York, I don't remember too many turnovers by the Spartans in this first quarter. And when you're playing the number 3 team in the country, you can't really make mistakes and hope to get the victory.
No, Jim, obviously most of my experience, you see York coming down the field here, most of my experience obviously is with football. That's kind of been my sport, but Coach DePay preaches to us, and I've played on my high school team was really successful. It always came down to turnovers, and we were undefeated my senior year, and we just didn't turn the ball over. Nice save there by Franklin.
Franklin stopping Pfeiffer's shot, but the Spartans trying to battle for it. Also, Giroux is battling for the ball. Somehow the Spartans come away with the ball with 60 seconds to go in the quarter. Yeah, like from a football standpoint, when you're playing Wesley, you just can't avoid. You can't afford interceptions and fumbles and hope to beat a team like that.
No, because you're just helping them. You're making their job easier. They don't need any help. They're a good enough team without it. You've got to play your game and make them earn every yard and every score that they might get. And it's the same here. You can't help York. You've got to. Wow, that was an impressive play.
Unbelievable pass and shoot. The pass, I believe, by Ryan Cook and Dylan Hannon, the junior, who just picked up his second goal of the first quarter. And just a tremendous pass, an unbelievable play by Hannon to not only grab that pass, but in one motion, stick it right past Franklin. 8 straight goals now by the York Spartans.
I'm not really sure how he maneuvered his stick that quickly and in that position to score, but he did somehow. I guess when you're the third team in the nation, you make those kind of plays.
Nothing against Salisbury. They defeated Southern Virginia 27-7. And certainly nothing against CNU, which defeated the Knights 19-12, or Frostburg, which narrowly got that win on Wednesday. But this explosion by York, this 8-goal explosion, has just been amazing for the Spartans.
It really has, and it's unfortunate because, we just witnessed Southern Virginia kind of play their best game of the season. You want to see them do that against York here, and it's just not happening right now. It could still turn around. But this certainly isn't their best display, and it doesn't really show how good of a team they are. They've got to learn to play a little better together and make something happen. As Casey Rich.
Oh, nice play by Casey. He went through 2 or 3 defenders to even have a chance, Seth, at that shot.
Yeah, Casey, I expect as you see him, he scored that first goal in their first possession, it being senior day and him being their leader. I would expect if the Knights can win these draws and maintain possession to look for Casey going forward to take care of business, use his big body to find position.
And the Knights will have to find a way in quarter number 2 to try to bounce back from that 8-goal explosion by the York Spartans.
Yeah, you just have to – it really comes down to those draws and getting the possession. York has shown they're very efficient when shooting the ball, so they just need to turn that around and start maintaining the possession.
8-1, York on top at the end of one quarter. We'll take this break here from the fields at Southern Virginia University.
I felt like I didn't just want to learn how to create art, I wanted to know what to create art about. At Southern Virginia, you're exposed to great art and ideas, getting the best of basically what the whole world has to offer. Professor Himes helps me so when I do create art, it can connect with other people. I don't want to just be a good artist, I want to be a good person who is an artist. I'm Corey Egbert and I'm a Knight.
Jim Bresnahan, Seth Hansen, again back here at the fields at Southern Virginia University. First quarter is in the books, and York is on top here, Seth, 8-1. The Knights got the first goal of the game in Casey Rich, but York, the next 8 goals. Knights have had some problems with turnovers. They've won draws, and they've just turned the ball over, unfortunately. But even despite those turnovers, York has been most impressive here in this first quarter.
Yeah, and those turnovers are happening right after you win the draw, too. You're not really getting much of a shot. There you go. By Logan Lund. Good to pass it off, and now they have a chance to run their offense. But usually with the story of the game so far has been missing those.
Lamb getting inside. His shot sails over.
Stays Southern Virginia possession. But good work. I think Logan is making the adjustment there, realizing as soon as I win this draw, I need to pass it off to someone who can get it into the zone.
And Sean Lamb saw that he had one-on-one coverage, and he had the inside track, and he just sailed that shot a little too far over. So now the Knights will try to go to work here and get their second goal of the game. Knights still thinking about making a comeback in this game. They're down by 7. They just have to take it 1 goal at a time. It didn't happen overnight that basically they gave up 8 goals, and so they're going to have to take any kind of comeback slow and easy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of time left in this game. You can't have passes like that, though. There's a ton of time left in this game. Like
Lamb
you
is
said,
double teamed.
getting
Boy,
smacked
he's
around a
just
little
getting
bit.
hammered. And Sean is slow to get up after York forces the turnover. But it just shows you how aggressive. We saw this against Frostburg. Frostburg's defense at times very physical, very aggressive. And you see that York, another top-rated team, has just a tremendous team defensively, too. Nice outlet pass, too, by the goalkeeper all the way upfield, too, by York for Cameron Leach receiving that pass. And now the Spartans will go on the offensive here. 8 straight goals by York after they fell behind 1-0. They have a very varied offense, too, Seth. They just don't do any one particular thing. They really mix it up. And good passing. Nice save by Franklin. Ball pops way outside. York still has it, though. Spartans take another shot, another high shot off to the right. Well, you got a feel for Carson Franklin. It's been a tough first half for him trying to stop this York offense.
Yeah, it's been a combination of the Knights being out of position a little bit, but also, Franklin probably isn't having his best game so far. Let's see what the call is here. Looks like it's against Southern Virginia. You see Coach Lamb not happy with the call, but, Franklin just, might be one of those hot hand. He's really had the hot hand the last few games. You may see a switch here because some days you have it and some days you don't. That's kind of the life of a goaltender. Hoping he can dial it in, though. He's made a couple good saves, but, York is definitely on their game right now.
Penalties looks like against Casey Rich and Sean Lamb of the Knights. So now the Knights will have to weather the penalties, trying to keep this game somewhat close. 8-1 right now. York has jumped on top. Not sure the referees were ready for play to begin, maybe?
Yeah, that looks like what it is. I don't know if it's an issue with the scoreboard or what's going on, but they're communicating right now.
I don't know if you can remember the Salisbury game where it was 27-7. Obviously, Salisbury is just a tremendous team, too, but it'll be very interesting, I guess, in another few days when York hooks up with Salisbury, and they might meet again in the conference tournament as well because it's hard to imagine a better passing teams making just tight passes to each other than the York Spartans.
Yeah, I imagine that York-Salisbury game will be very quick-paced is what I would think. Because, looking at York here, they're running and flying around, moving the ball around, trying to confuse the defense. And Salisbury had a similar kind of look. So, very high quality, good game, I'm sure, when those two teams meet.
Well, it'll be interesting today to see how Salisbury does at Frostburg. If Frostburg is maybe impacted by that narrow, close call they had against the Knights on Wednesday, and how Salisbury does at Frostburg today.
Frostburg
Shot way off to the left that time by York.
Frostburg, you could argue, has the best defensive team here in the Capital Conference. I imagine they'll give Salisbury some fits. I don't know. I couldn't say if they were going to upset them or not, but good defensive teams usually give the best teams fits. That's just kind of how it works in sports, and that'll definitely be interesting, the outcome of that one.
So one of the penalties has ended. York trying to get a goal before the second penalty ends, and they
off the post there. Yeah,
off the post by Pfeiffer, or make that McGrath, who's got a couple of goals here in this first quarter. 8 seconds to go in the penalty. And the Spartans trying to work it around. Pass comes outside, shot taken. Nice and high over the goal. Spartans still have it, and then they score again. Spartans get another goal from inside. And nice passing again by the Spartans, and they have just picked up their 9th straight goal in this game.
And the reason for this passing, the reason York's offense works so well, that to me is a direct link to chemistry. When guys have played together for a number of years and you don't have this fluidity of changing of recruits and all this, when you have guys who stay in the program and they play together, you already know their tendencies. You know where they're going to be on the field before you even see them, and that's what makes teams like York and Salisbury so good, and you're really seeing it here. That's what Southern Virginia is really trying to build as this program goes forward.
Ryan Powers is now taking the draw against Logan Lamb. Ryan Powers for York also doing pretty well when it comes to draws coming in today. He had won 49 out of 73 draws, so that percentage is up around over 70%. York quickly takes a shot. Nice save by Franklin. He stops it, looks for a teammate to give it off to, as the Knights are trying to battle back here, having allowed 9 straight goals after Casey Rich got the game's first goal.
That was a good decision by Franklin there. Of course, made the great save, and then instead of trying to force it going to someone down the field, he just took his time and realized how important it was to maintain the possession. Good heads-up play by Carson Franklin there.
Casey Rich, one of the seniors honored today, one of the 4 players with no eligibility left after apparently this season, was honored today, and he's got the game's only goal for the Knights. Knights looking to get untracked on offense. Sean Lamb yet to score. He's a big goal scorer for the Knights. Even Brady Cook had a couple of scores against Frostburg on Wednesday in the first half of that game, and he is yet to have a good look at a shot. Ryan Larson also honored today before the game has the ball right now. And Tony Good right in the middle there, 27. He had some big goals against Frostburg on Wednesday, and I don't think he has handled the ball a whole lot in this first half.
And, I mean, no one really has handled the ball very much this first half as they're trying to maintain possessions. One of their better possessions here. I kind of would like to see Casey hold on to the ball and work it behind the goal a little more. He's had a lot of success being aggressive and bodying up the defender. Just with his frame and his stick skills, he's really hard to match up one-on-one if you're a defender for York. But the Knights right now working it around, trying to find York making a mistake on defense, but playing very sound.
Pass goes away, and another turnover by the Knights. And you can see, really, perhaps that's the biggest difference between York and Southern Virginia is just York's ability with the pass. They know when the other players are going to be, and they make really crisp passes. They don't turn it over too much.
No, just that chemistry. They know where each other's going to be. They trust each other. They don't have to think twice about if this is the right decision or not. They just go and they play instinctually. With the Knights, I think you see him thinking a little bit. You see him hesitating a little bit at times. They don't want to make mistakes. You can't think that way. You can't be thinking, I don't want to make a mistake here. You've just got to play your game and play with your instincts. Wow, that was a behind-the-back shot right there.
Giroux had knocked the ball loose, and then York was able to pick it up and get the goal. And so now that's 10 straight goals by the Spartans. Well, I guess it'll all come out in the wash between York and Salisbury in another few days when they meet in their regular season and potentially in the conference tournament. But it is hard to picture Salisbury, number 1 in the country, being that much better than this number 3 team in the country, the York Spartans.
Yeah, the difference is got to be razor thin. It's probably a toss-up for probably the top 5 teams would be my guess. But definitely between Salisbury and York, that game could be the game. They'll probably, like you mentioned, I'm sure they'll probably see each other twice unless there's an upset.
And the way these two teams are playing this particular point of the season, we were talking at the very beginning about who's going to maybe get the at-large spot if, let's say, Salisbury wins the postseason tournament as York gets another goal, this time by Ryan Powers. And the way York is looking, if Salisbury somehow dominates them and wins the regular season and the Capital tournament, it's kind of hard to picture maybe Frostburg or a CNU getting ahead of York when it comes to an at-large bid.
Yeah, you would take a lot, I would think, for Salisbury and York to not be there, especially if those two teams meet in the conference tournament. Maybe if they get bumped by, one of these lower-seeded teams, you could see it. But
I mean, if Frostburg were to win today, then all bets are off.
Right. But even Salisbury, if Salisbury got bounced early in the tournament, I still think it would be a long shot to see them not make the NCAA tournament because of their reputation. And
I'm sure the Capital Conference would love to have maybe 4 teams go.
And I think it would be very justifiable if you're the committee. But, tough decisions. Like we mentioned, I'm glad I don't have to make those decisions because they're going to have their work cut out for them.
Well, I mean, even in football, the New Jersey Athletic Conference, I mean, Frostburg was tied the regular season, got the regular season championship, co-champions, and they did not get a national bid for the tournament.
Yeah, that was an interesting. I think I don't know. I always think those things are really based on reputation, and Frostburg hasn't, not that I'm aware of, at least. The last few years hadn't been at the top of the conference, and so I think that had to play into it. But if they did the same here, you'd imagine they'd get a bid. But speaking as a Southern Virginia football player, we're going to have something to say about that this season.
Another score by Frostburg or York. That was Brendan McGrath, again, their leading goal scorer, and I believe that's his third today. And now York has scored 12 straight goals after falling behind 1-0. They have just really dominated this game since Casey Rich got the game's first goal. And it's not just one player, although McGrath, I believe, has 3 goals today, and Pfeiffer's got a couple of goals. But even though those are the 2 top goal scorers, we mentioned they came in together, combining for 67 goals before this game started today. But as we've seen, York's got a lot of offensive talent, not just number 38 and not just number 28. And right now, Seth, the Knights just trying to find a way to stop York, and they score yet again. McGrath gets the ball, gets pushed, and somehow falling to the ground, scores yet again. I believe that's 4 for him, at least 4, I believe, here in this first half.
Yeah,
it looked like Maxfield pushed him, and still he was able to somehow get that in.
Just everything going right for York at the moment. Looks like a timeout on the field. My guess is by Coach Lamb. Just a reminder, Southern Virginia fans out there, gear.svu.edu is the official online store of Southern Virginia University Athletics. Gear up for the summer with all kinds of outdoor and tailgating equipment and apparel. Once again, that is gear.svu.edu. And yeah, Jim, like you mentioned, it's since that first couple minutes, this really has gone downhill for Southern Virginia.
Now, the Knights have not really been used to a game like this. I know Salisbury defeated them 27-7 in the first of this 4-game homestand, but I don't think that Salisbury ran away and hid like York is doing. And certainly the last 2 home games, Mary Washington, a 4-point loss, and just a 1-goal loss to Frostburg on Wednesday. So it's been a while since the Knights have really been in a game where they've just been dominated and seen the other team explode like this.
Yeah, the Salisbury game didn't feel like this. It felt like, at least in the first half, there was more of a fight being put up. I don't know if Coach Lamb there has just had to remove himself a little bit and letting his assistant take over. Just unfortunate how things have gone today, and you'd love to see him come back and swinging, and regardless of what the score is, you want to see him put up a little of a fight. Just doesn't look like it here on Senior Day.
And, this is not how the Knights wanted to go out for the 4 seniors who were honored before the game today. And I'm not really sure if it's so much the Knights are making mistakes, and that's what's caused the 12-point deficit, or if it's just they're facing one heck of a ball club today in the York Spartans.
And it's a combination of both. York is that good. They have that ranking for a reason, well earned, and the Knights knew that coming in, should be well respected. But the Knights haven't done themselves any favors.
Yeah, I'm sure Coach Lamb will tell you sometimes we're making them look better than they really are.
Yeah, definitely the case I think here today, and just tough. As a coach, it's hard. It hurts to see your team play like this. There's still a lot of time though. There's a time to build on some good things if you can turn it around and just.
Yeah, right now you don't really worry about making a comeback or what the score is. You just take it 1 goal at a time, one play at a time.
Yeah, you just, as a coach, you just want to tell them, look, I just want to see some improvement. I want you to do the things that you did in practice all week, the things we've prepared for, and make a stand a little bit and try and put some goals on the board.
Sean Lamb with it right now, trying to get the first goal for the Knights since they scored in the opening minute with Casey Rich. Been a long scoring drought for the Knights, and York has taken advantage of that scoring drought by scoring 13 unanswered goals. Knights have had problems with turnovers, really getting into their offense, and when they've gotten into their offense, they just haven't had many good looks. And then yet another turnover, another wild pass with a player breaking from left to right, and the pass went behind him, Seth. And now York immediately getting into its offense. And good teams don't really worry about the when the opposition's making mistakes. They're not going to let up, and York has not let up in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, no, I played. So I was going to tell you, Jim. We were talking about, as you mentioned, like I played football. My dad was my head coach for years, and whenever teams, were just running their offense, they weren't trying to necessarily run up the score. But my dad always said, if you can put up 100 on us, then do it, because I'm going to put up 100 on you if you can. Not as a bad sportsmanship, but because this is what I don't teach my guys to play bad. I'm not going to tell my guys to play bad. And you're not going to see that from York or Salisbury. They're not trying to be bad sports, but they're just playing lacrosse. This is their game. They only know one speed. It's 100%, and they do it the whole game.
York looking for their 14th straight goal. Knights will have it.
A rare turnover there. Yeah, I like this. Brady Cook going down the field. You want to see some type of fast break, get some kind of numbers so you can put the ball in the net.
They would love to get it inside to Tony Good, but he really has not seen the ball at all in this first half.
Got Tunic over the middle, but
Lamb's looking for a little one-on-one opportunity, some sort of spin move, but just not able to do it against this York defenders. I'm sure they are well aware of Casey Rich and Sean Lamb, their ability to do spin moves.
And this is Casey Rich's game right there. That's okay. That's a good shot on goal.
Good shot by Casey.
But you see how easily he was able to move kind of into that area to give himself an opportunity. We've talked about how big Casey is.
And Joey Fiorino, number 2, was really bodying him too. And Fiorino's not any slouch. He's 5'11", 205.
Yeah, I mean, when you're Casey's 6'2", 225, that's a big boy who's got some good stick skills. Good
nice
shot
pass
there.
To Tony Good, but the ball is blocked away by the goalkeeper.
Some life, though. Some life coming from the Southern Virginia offense. Working well. They just need to keep it going. You'll find the net eventually. Just got to keep working it.
And that's Landry Marshall, the goalkeeper, 6'1", 190-pound junior. He has not really faced anywhere near the activity that Carson Franklin, the freshman goalkeeper for the Knights, has faced, as Lamb tries to go through 2 defenders and loses the ball. And here comes a fast break opportunity here. Fiorino, number 2, quickly takes the shot and scores. How about Joey Fiorino, a junior defenseman, going coast to coast and getting his second goal of the season? And you don't really see, I've not seen that too much this season, where a defenseman, you see it occasionally when the player, with the draw goes from the half field all the way down and shoots and scores. But a defenseman who grabs the ball and takes it coast to coast and scores, you don't see it that often. And needless to say, that's just Fiorino's second goal of the season.
Yeah, you got to limit those fast breaks, get back on defense, and really body him up. Don't wait for him to get into your zone. You got to attack him early.
And York wins the draw that time. That was Ryan Powers, the sophomore, winning the draw. We talked about really 2 guys taking the draws this season for York. Billy Sasso, who has about a 68% success rate in taking draws, and Powers right there, who's almost 70%. And needless to say, that's another reason why York has been so successful, with 2 guys who can have that kind of success rate taking draws.
Yeah, draws are everything here in lacrosse. I mean, we've mentioned it's not like basketball where one team scores and the other team gets possession. You have to fight for every single possession, and it all starts right there.
Another shot outside, blocked away. We've got a new goalkeeper in there now for the Knights, in Ian Arave. Arave replacing Franklin. I'm sure the coaches don't want to damage the freshman's confidence. Franklin has made some good stops today, but he has just faced a barrage of Spartan shots. And so Arave is the new goalkeeper here for the Knights in period number 2. Closing in on the 4-minute mark. York, 14 straight goals, looking for 15 in a row. They have an opening on the left side.
Good work there.
Blocked away. Good save by the Knights.
That was the senior.
Ball comes loose and York grabs it off the turf. And they fire again and miss.
Good defensive play there by the senior Kiwi, Giroux. He just kind of put his body on the line there. That couldn't have felt good. That lacrosse ball is pretty hard, but Good way to sell out for the team there.
Spartans looking for an opening. They go from the middle over to the right to Pfeiffer, number 28. York fakes the shot. Spin move to the left. That was a rare turnover, almost a turnover, but the ball was picked up off the turf by McGrath, number 38. And so even when York makes a bad pass, they've got teammates around somehow, and now we've got a penalty flag. Looks like it may go against the Knights here with 3:12 to go in this first half.
Ooh, good play there.
And now the penalty will come into play as the Knights were able to stop York on that possession, but now the penalty will be assessed against the Knights, and now York will have 3:02 left before halftime to try to pick up their 15th straight goal.
Good defensive play there, though, by Kevin Huntsman, being aware and anticipating that pass and deflecting the ball. Unfortunately, though, as you mentioned, Jim, a penalty on Southern Virginia.
Knights have had a few penalties in this first half. York has played almost penalty-free ball, and as a result, they have 14 straight goals. Spartans have not made too many mistakes. Their goalkeeper just really hasn't faced that much opposition from the Knights' offense. And now York goes to work looking for another goal, and they get it inside. Hunter Davis, the sophomore, breaking free across the middle. They left him a little opening there, Seth, and he took advantage of it for the 15th straight goal by the Spartans.
And that comes, I believe that's the 27th goal for, Hunter Davis, excuse me. I'm not sure I can't remember if he has any other goals this game, but good work. You see, though, if you're looking at the York stat sheet, which we have in front of us, you have a handful of guys that are double digits of goals. You've got 4 that have 20, and then Brendan McGrath, number 38, he's got over 40 now after today's game.
They've got 191 goals in 14 games, whereas the Knights have played 11 games and have 125 goals.
Just unbelievable. Just crisp and efficient offense by York.
You mentioned they have really played some good teams this season, too. When you look down what York has done this season from their schedule standpoint, they defeated Washington Lee at Washington Lee 12-11. They've also beaten Gettysburg 16-8. Beat Frostburg, very narrow margin, 6-5 at home back on the 22nd of March. They also defeated Mary Washington 13-7. They're coming off a 21-0 victory on Wednesday, this past Wednesday against Wesley. And they have not really had a close game the last 2 times out. 21-0 over Wesley, 17-6 over Marymount. And it looks like a timeout taken here with 2:20 to go, and York on top 15-1. And if you're the Knights here, Seth, for the final 2 minutes and 20 seconds of the second quarter, and then when you look ahead into the third and fourth quarter, they just have to forget about the score and just kind of focus on 1 point at a time, because, again, even if the Knights go on to lose this game, they would be 2-5 in the conference, and St. Mary's is right behind them at 1-4. St. Mary's had a tough game, I believe, on the schedule for today. If St. Mary's doesn't pull the upset, then the Knights still would be in the driver's seat. And, of course, they defeated St. Mary's, so they would also, I believe, get the tiebreaker, and they would just have to focus on the Wesley game for the Knights in an effort to try to nail down that conference tournament spot. They'll be playing Wesley next Saturday on the 15th at Wesley.
Yeah, I mean, not the way you want to see your team play today, but as you mentioned, they still have a good shot at the conference tournament, to possibly even win a game on the road until you play one of these top 2 teams if you can, but it's an interesting day. It's been an interesting game. It'll be interesting to see what type of adjustments Coach Lamb makes at halftime.
And the numbers don't lie. You look at the board, shots on goal, 22-2 advantage for the York Spartans. Knights are able to get that ball out of there, though. See if they can get their second goal of the game. Casey Rich opened the scoring today with his goal, and the Knights have not scored really since. Frostburg's got York has 15 straight unanswered goals, and now the Knights will try to get a goal to stem the tide for the York Spartans.
Good play on that last turnover. Greg Gowdy, the senior, picking the ball up and having a nice run across the middle of the field to put it in the attacking zone.
Tony Good, but his shot is blocked. Tony Good had a good look at it. Good came into today with 12 goals on the season, 4th on the team. Casey Rich was able to score his 28th today. Sean Lamb's got 30 on the season. He has yet to score today. Tunick with 14 on the season. He's the 3rd leading goal scorer for the Knights. Here's Casey Rich firing a shot blocked away. I know he hasn't faced that many opportunities by the Knights, but Landry Marshall, the junior goalkeeper for York, has actually done pretty well on the limited chances the Knights have had.
It was a good look by Casey. Those are the kind of shots you want him to take. Just nice save by the goalkeeper there, but unfortunate. You want to see him, especially being a senior and the reputation he has. You'd love to see him score a few more times as he opened the scoring for the Knights today. But look for them trying to work it to him, if nothing else, because he's a senior and it's senior day.
45 seconds to go. Looks like York wants to run the clock down. And we'll see if they just run the clock down or maybe run the clock down and maybe take that final shot of the first half. 15 straight unanswered goals by the York Spartans, who are coming off a 21-0 victory on Wednesday. Clock's been worked down to 15 seconds here. We'll see if the Spartans will take a shot at it in the final 10 seconds. Pass gets away from the Spartans. Looks like a turnover with 3 seconds to go. So a rare turnover by the Spartans here in this first half. And that will do it for the first half of action. A convincing first half by the York College Spartans, the number 3 team in the country, Seth. They fell behind early 1-0 as Casey Rich got the game's first goal, and then it was all York after that. A 15-1 advantage here at halftime.
Just too many turnovers on the Southern Virginia side, making it too easy for York as they make the most of their opportunities. They're very efficient with their shots. Their offense runs perfectly, and just not how you want to see them come out today. There's still a whole nother half to play, though, and regardless of the score, you hope to see them come back and put in this effort and make the changes.
So halftime score here from the fields at Southern Virginia University. It is York 15 and Southern Virginia University 1. We'll take this break here from Southern Virginia University.
High school, I never felt really pushed, and I kind of lost a love of learning. When you can have a whole semester of classes where every one of your professors, you can just say, like, I have an amazing professor, but for every class, I just don't think that happens everywhere else. There's true friendships that develop here. I have good friends from another college, I have good friends from high school, but I have great friends here.
My name is Bubba Eisenhower, and I'm a Knight.
You get out what you put in, or actually you get out probably more than you put in. But if you put in effort, you'll always be blessed for that.
These participants have never experienced mission life before, so they've never experienced working with a companion, teaching with a companion, eating with a companion.
Every kid is completely different, so each kid needs to progress in different ways, and they have different strengths and weaknesses when they come in.
Just being here, I've felt so much love from God and from everybody here.
Being with all these different youth and leaders and returned missionaries, the Spirit is definitely here.
I thought if you knew your doctrine, then you can teach a lesson. But the thing is, you need to invite the Spirit, because sometimes we don't know the things that are going on in other people's life, and the Spirit tells us those things.
As you teach about the Spirit, as you learn about the nature of the Spirit, what the Holy Ghost can do, all the different hats the Holy Ghost wears. If you come here and you want to get better and you want to improve yourself and prepare yourself to be a missionary, you're going to do that.
When I came to Southern Virginia University, I wanted to grow as a person. I knew that if I were able to come to this environment, I would grow academically, personally, and spiritually. I've made more friends here than I ever could have imagined. Some of my best friends are the professors at the school. At Southern Virginia University, I've had more opportunities to be involved than I would have had anywhere else. This is the school that will change your life. My name is Kirsten Lawrence, and I'm a Knight.
Jim Bresnahan, Seth Hansen back here at the fields at Southern Virginia University. We are getting ready for third quarter play with the York College Spartans dominating in that first half. Seth, ahead here 15-1. You look at the numbers, shots by period. York dominating 35-7 advantage there, and the Knights also unfortunately had more turnovers than York in that first half, and certainly they came into play, as well as York not dominating per se, but winning more face-offs, winning more draws than the Knights were able to do in that first half.
Yeah, that shot differential you see, as you mentioned, 35-7 is just astounding. You can't score goals if you're not able to get shots off, and York having 35 of them, it's no wonder that they've got 15 goals on the board right now.
And so we're ready to go here in this third quarter of play, and we'll try to get you up to date on other action in women's lacrosse. The Knights were trailing at halftime 13-1 to York. Knights were also losing in baseball in the first game of a doubleheader to Marymount. Volleyball lost to a very good Stevens team, and they'll be playing, I believe, Marymount this afternoon. And then softball was ahead in game one of a doubleheader at York. 1-0, I believe that was in the fifth inning. We'll try to get you score updates on that. I believe Megan Stapley was pitching for the Knights, and Michaela Johnson had a homer. And if the Knights could hang on down the stretch, as quickly York scores to begin this third quarter. So if the Knights softball can hang on down the stretch in that fifth, sixth, and into the seventh inning, Seth, the Knights will get their first ever Capital Conference softball win today at York. And wouldn't that be great for the ladies of the Southern Virginia University softball team?
Yeah, they've put in so much effort really trying to get that program going. They've had, we've mentioned a lot of success outside of the conference, but they've put in so much hard work. It'd be great to get that first Capital Conference win, and that would help for building as the program goes forward. It would help for recruiting, and just really proud of them. Hopefully they can close it out there.
And York getting the first goal of the second half, getting the draw one, and getting it close. And a nice block
save
there by the Knights.
Good save by Hervé, but got to clear it out of their zone here.
Ball pops loose, and the Knights have it.
Good pickup by Lamb.
Sean Lamb, who is yet to score today. I'm not even sure he's got a shot today. Fires that shot, it's blocked away. But a tough day for Lamb. Casey Rich has the only goal today for the Knights. And the Knights trail here 16-1. 15-1 at halftime. York has the only goal so far in the second half. Good defense by the Knights trying to wrestle the ball loose, but York is right there to pick up the loose ball off the ground. And quickly they go over to the left side. And the Knights are able to force the turnover. Hervé picks up the loose ball. So Ian Hervé, the backup goalkeeper today for the Knights, able to make the play there. Hervé is taking over for Carson Franklin. He started. The freshman had a tough game. Just under besiege more often than not by this York offense. And now the Knights will try to get, again, their second goal today. Casey Rich has it right now, and he's got the only goal today. Outside the shot taken, blocked away. Nice block there by the goalkeeper for the York Spartans.
Nice shot there by Brady Cook. Had a lot of heat on it, but York goaltender with a nice save.
So, first penalty of the game called against the York Spartans. We'll see if the Knights can take advantage. They've got 30 seconds to work with the penalty, as the Knights will try to pick up goal number 2. 16 unanswered goals after Casey Rich scored the game's first goal. Lamb on the right side looking for a little opening. Tries to pass over to Rich, and the ball goes right by him and out of bounds. And so another turnover by the Knights, something that you really don't want to do when you've got the man advantage after the penalty is called.
Yeah, not a very well-timed turnover there. Not that any turnover is well-timed, but just not making the most of their opportunities right now up to this point.
We talked about how great York has been passing the ball from teammate to teammate today, and the Knights, not all the time, but they have had some passes that have not been close.
They just, it's the same from once they played Salisbury. You don't see those turnovers when there's nobody in your face. you have a clear pass lane to your teammate, and the pass just gets out of control for some reason and turns over. You just don't see that from teams like Salisbury and York. And
this is not the Knights team that we saw on Wednesday from, let's say, the midpoint of the first quarter to the midpoint of the fourth quarter. They played just tremendous for 3 quarters against Frostburg on Wednesday, and quite possibly the best 3 quarters they played all season long.
Yeah, and it's a nice physical play there. Those type of losses, it was such a heartbreaking loss. They thought they had it won and lost it in the final few seconds. Those type of losses, they usually do one of 2 things. You either take your wind out of your sails and really just demoralize you, or you come back and you respond. And just looks like right now that's how Southern Virginia's been. Just really took the wind out of their sails, and just haven't played anywhere near that level today.
And they are facing the number 3 team in the country. Arve with a good save there. Wasn't able to corral the ball, so it's still loose. And it looks like the Knights will come away with it. Good effort there by Ujikawa to bring it up. Gets it over to Casey Rich. He tries a pass, and it goes out. Looked like he was triple teamed and wanted to get it to a teammate, Seth, and the pass was behind the teammate, and as a result, just a missed pass there by the Knights. But it looks like we do have a penalty called against, it looks like maybe the Spartans.
Yeah.
We have played about 4 minutes here in this third quarter. Just 1 goal so far in the second half, and York has it. Knights will try to go to work looking for goal number 2 today. And this is also something new for the Knights. Seth, going basically 2 quarters almost of not being able to score.
Yeah, even the games that they have struggled in that we've broadcast, they've been able to run their offense somewhat efficiently and put the ball in the net a little bit, but really just York doing it on both ends today, offensively and defensively, stopping Southern Virginia and what they're trying to do.
Nice long pass, but that one is able to make the connection. The goalkeeper for York just getting it. He's made a couple of long passes like that and has been able to make the connection downfield. Pfeiffer, number 28, who's got several goals today. Sprints from left to right. Pfeiffer's got several goals today, number 28. Number 38, McGrath also. Those are the 2 top goal scorers this season for York, and they both have several goals or had several goals in the first half, but York really was able to spread it around, scoring not just Pfeiffer and McGrath. And York with the big lead here, Seth, in no hurry. I would imagine we'll see quite a lot of this here in the third and fourth quarter, whether we're talking about York's main starting position, their main starting players, or perhaps some of the second and third teamers that come in. I would imagine we'll see quite a few minutes run off the clock by the Spartans whenever possible.
Another nice save there by Ian Arve. He's quietly played a decent game since coming in. That was a good save, even though the Spartans maintain possession. He's been a lone bright spot here today.
And a low shot taken by the Spartans, and not much that could be done about that. As Ryan Cook, only 5'7", 155 pounds, he is a junior, and he is able to score his 5th goal of the season. And that was a low shot that Arve just had no chance to. That ball was just low and fast, and I'm not sure too many goalkeepers could have stopped that shot.
It'd be interesting to see. You mentioned, I'm sure at some point York is going to start putting in some of the guys that don't get to play as much, some of the younger guys. It'll be interesting to see how Coach Lamb combats that. It is senior day, so you don't want to necessarily take out your seniors the whole time, but you may start seeing some of these younger guys who don't see the field as much get some experience. Maybe they can provide some type of spark.
There's a penalty. Logan Lund won the draw, then got a trip from behind. Logan Lund has been doing much better on the draws the last couple of games. He kind of struggled, I believe, with the Mary Washington game. There were a couple of games this season where he either struggled to win the draw entirely, like the Mary Washington game, and it might have been the Merchant Marine game where he was winning draws on a pretty good ratio, and then just not able to escape and maintain possession.
Yeah, the reason the time of possession and the shots and everything are so lopsided today are not because Logan hasn't done his job on the faceoff. He's done a very decent job compared to some of the recent weeks. It's just been, like we said, some of the turnovers.
Outside, shot taken by the Knights, but a nice block away by the York Spartans after the shot by Brady Cook. Cook had a couple of goals Wednesday against Frostburg. Had a good look from outside. Now York on the attack with a 17-1 lead. Try to get you a softball update in a little while. They had a 1-0 lead in the fifth inning. We mentioned that men's volleyball, after winning last night, lost to Stevens today. They are now 21-6 on the season, and they've got one more match coming, and they might actually be playing that right now against Marymount. Knights will be, of course, love to win that one, Seth, because Marymount will be a conference foe next season.
Yeah, I can't wait for – this has been such a great season for men's volleyball. I can't wait to see them once they're in a conference. You got to expect them to make some noise with how well they've played this season. You got to expect them to really make a push, potentially that first year to win the conference tournament, which would be huge. Just so many exciting things for that program going forward. So there's a rare turnover there by York. Been a lot of fun. I've definitely enjoyed. I've attended most of the home games they had this season, and what an environment! What a team that plays that well together. Just they make it so exciting to be there and watch them live in person.
Casey Rich trying to find an opening. Shot blocked away as the effort by the Knights to try to get that shot. Ball pops loose, and York still has it. York's goalkeepers have been very good today. Haven't faced as much opposition as the Knights goalkeepers, but able to keep the Knights off the board except for that opening goal by Casey Rich. Mentioned the women's lacrosse. They were losing at halftime to York 13-1. And men's baseball hosting Marymount today, but Seth, in that first game of a doubleheader against Marymount was rolling. The Knights have really struggled with their pitching staff over the last half of the season.
Yes, pitching is everything in baseball and softball. If your pitching isn't dialed in, it's usually a long day, and unfortunately that's kind of been the case for the Knights, especially today.
Try to get you that scoreboard update on the softball game, because as we mentioned, they were winning game one of a doubleheader, 1-0 in the fifth inning at York. They were at that point, I believe, 9 outs away from getting their first ever Capital Conference win as York scores again. 6:20 on the clock. And that goal scored by number 20, Shane Brookhart. That'll be his third goal this season. So York now has 18 straight goals. And unfortunately for softball, after a 1-0 lead, York has come back with 6 unanswered runs. And so Seth, in the top of the seventh inning, York now leading the Knights in softball action 6-1. And so the Knights softball team, unless they can make a big comeback in the seventh inning, they'll be forced to try to pick up their first Capital Conference win in game 2 of that doubleheader.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. We got some information updates that Megan Stapley had been pitching. She was pitching a 2-hitter for majority of the game, but kind of just lost it there, it looks like, near the end. You should see, as the rest of the season has gone, you see Megan Harmon pitching in the second game, and Megan's put together a nice season as a freshman, been a real leader on that team. So I know that they're a good team. They'll keep battling. A lot of good girls who work hard. They'll keep battling, and hopefully they'll come out victorious in that second game of the doubleheader.
18 unanswered goals here for the York Spartans. They've really dominated this third quarter, outscoring the Knights 3-0 so far. And that time a pass into the middle is knocked away by the Knights. Arve right there to pick it up. Sean Lamb is triple teamed, tries to work through a triple team, gets tripped, and there's a penalty flag. He gets tripped again. Sean Lamb taking some physical abuse out there as he tried to go through 2 or 3 defenders by the York Spartans.
Good effort, though. I thought he was going to squeak out of there and make a run at the goal, but got tripped up at the end. Fortunately, the refs found it to be a penalty, so advantage to the Knights here.
Let's check and make sure that was just one penalty. Sean Lamb has really not been able to get too many looks today. Has no goals. Tony Good, also another top player, and Spencer Tunick, also another top offensive player for the Knights. They've also been shut out. Casey Rich has the only goal. And the Knights will have 50 seconds more left on this penalty by York to work with, trying to pick up their second goal this ball game. They've been outscored 18 in a row. And it looks like the ball will be turned over to the Spartans now. Timeout's going to be taken here by the Knights with 4:55 to go third quarter. Jason Lamb wants to talk it over. He had called for a timeout, but apparently not going to be given the timeout.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. He clearly was motioning for it, but the refs, I don't know, deemed it not to award him the timeout.
And so the Spartans, 18 straight goals with the ball. Now the Knights will get the ball. They award it over to the Knights. This is Brady Cook, who had a couple of goals against
There we go.
Frostburg on Wednesday, and Tony Good gets free for the goal. So there's the first goal since the first quarter. Tony Good picking up his 13th goal of the season.
Good job there by Brady Cook, just taking the ball and not waiting around, realizing there was a little bit of numbers, and Tony Good putting himself in the right position to score. And you know, it's good to get. It's good to nice to get another goal, and you want to try and build on it in these last 4 minutes, 27 seconds of the third period, and you know, a little bright spot here today.
Stops about almost a 40-minute scoring drought by the Knights. They scored in the opening minute of the first quarter and did not score for the remaining basically 29 minutes of the first half, and then blanked almost for over 10 minutes here in this third quarter. So a long scoring drought by the Knights. Snapped by Tony Good. Logan Lund trying to win the draw. Ball on the turf. York cleanly picks it up. Here come the Spartans, moving it quickly and scoring. Boy, it took them just a few seconds to get that one back. And the Spartans were able to do that thanks to a great play by Nick Roman, a freshman who grabbed the ball off the turf, quickly got it upfield, Seth, and got it into position to a teammate for the goal.
And that goal was scored by Christopher Lease for York. That's his first goal of the season. You see him pretty excited there, understandably, if you get your first goal of the year. And just that transition D has been an issue for the Knights this season, and York took advantage of it right there.
Yeah, it's remarkable. We saw that in the Frostburg game on Wednesday, where if the Knights were playing a very contained, set defensive effort in the short field, they were actually looking pretty good. But when they tried to cover the other team's fast break, it was like a completely different story.
Yeah, they really had it working against Frostburg again. Frostburg is not the
penalty on the Knights there, it looks like.
Yeah, Greg Gowdy being a little aggressive. You know, Frostburg is not the offensive powerhouse that York is, but still a very well-coached team. But the Knights had it rolling then, and it just I don't know if it's, you know, I'm sure large part coach for York has done his homework, studied the film, realized what the Knights were going to try and do on defense, and he's counteracted it pretty well today.
Yeah, it does look like the Spartans were properly prepared for the Knights after the Knights played arguably, at least for 3 quarters of that Frostburg game, their best ball of the entire season. And so the Spartans, with a 4-1 advantage here in the third quarter, take over possession. Nice pass, left to right. Good block by Arave. Ball comes loose. Knights trying to scoop it up. They do. Caleb Rich has it for the Knights. He's trying to work it upfield. Lost the ball. And Caleb is able to scoop it back up momentarily, then loses it out of bounds. Boy, that was almost disaster. That ball almost got to York Spartan right in front of the goal. As is, the Spartans looking for an opening here. Are they in goal? Taking over for Franklin, the freshman. They're going to call that a shot, apparently, so it's still York ball. Knights have 2 scores today, one by Casey Rich, the other just a few minutes ago by Tony Good. Another shot taken by York. Spartans still have it. from behind the goal, the Spartans point blank pass, another score. Nice pass again by the Spartans, and I believe that was Brendan McGrath, the sophomore top goal scorer by York, picking up another goal. He's got to at least have 4 today, and now York has reached 20 for the game. Well, you see the green in the crowd. Hard to tell, though, whether it's Spartans fans or Knights fans.
Right. Those similar colors. Nice win there by Logan Lund. Find the pass. Good work there.
Knights will go to work now looking for goal number 3. Brady Cook with it. Sean Lamb has really been stifled today. Hasn't seen too many scoring opportunities. See the differential on the scoreboard, 30-8. Shots on goal. Lamb momentarily draw a double team. Passes over to the left side. Cade Rich not able to get his shot to go. Quick outlet. Here comes York in a hurry. Nice block by Arave. And the Knights come back the other way with Spencer Tunick.
Tunick making a run. He needs to not slow down here and just find a pass and get a shot off. The ball's deflected.
And Lamb's got it right now. Last few minutes here of this third quarter. The Knights have been outscored 5-1 in the quarter.
There we go.
Casey Rich picks up his second goal today, and that is number 29 on the season.
Nice shot there by Casey Rich. That was a deep shot, but found kind of the side corner of the goal there, and like you mentioned, second goal of the game for him. Good to see on senior day. Hopefully he can get another 1 or 2 here before the game's over.
And the Knights still have 2 more games after today. They'll be playing on the road, non-conference action against Virginia Wesleyan Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, and then next Saturday they're on the road at Wesley next Saturday at noon. If St. Mary's were to lose today and the Knights could defeat Wesley a week from today, I would think that would pretty much do it. That would get the Knights into the conference tournament, and we'll see what they can do from there. Last year they played Christopher Newport on the road in the conference tournament. Opening round, lost 19-5. Hoping for a different story this season. Hoping to get in, Seth, maybe, and make some noise in the upcoming conference tournament.
Yeah, I think definitely in that first round, you'd have a real shot at playing anybody. The best team you'll probably see in that first round, either Frostburg or Christopher Newport.
Yep.
But, they played so well against Frostburg, had the game in hand. If you can replicate that kind of performance, as we've mentioned, anything could happen.
Only lost by 7 when they played at CNU a few weeks ago. And if you could pull the upset and get into that second round, maybe the semifinals against perhaps a Salisbury or a York, got nothing to lose, right?
Yeah, exactly.
27 seconds left in the quarter. Knights trying to get back-to-back goals for the first time today. Sean Lamb trying to get a little pick from Cade Rich. Lamb, spin move, looks for a shot opportunity, tries to pass that ball to Tony Good. It's picked up by the Knights momentarily. Larson had it, now a penalty flag. With 6 seconds to go. It was a tough pass that Lamb attempted to make to Tony Good.
Yeah, probably an ill-advised pass because Lamb was so covered. Tony Good was kind of in traffic. You probably want to see Lamb pull that one out and just try and swing the ball around to the other side.
Penalty against the York Spartans. With 6 seconds to go. Shot taken by the Knights. It's Rich trying to take that from the left side. No good, and we'll go to the fourth quarter with a 20-3 game. So in that third quarter, York was able to outscore the Knights 5-2. Looks like maybe a couple of seconds may still be left on the clock here in this third period. And now the clock will wind off, and that will be it for quarter number 3. Again, it was 15-1 at halftime. York outscores the Knights 5-2 in that third quarter. But the Knights were able to get a couple of goals, get their offense going again here, and we'll go to the fourth quarter, Seth, in a 20-3 game. And the Knights in that fourth quarter coming up will simply try to get as many goals as possible, try to build a little head of steam for Virginia Wesleyan on Wednesday, and also next Saturday, the road game at Wesley. We played three quarters, and York is on top. We'll take this break from Southern Virginia University. Jim Bresnahan, Seth Hansen back here at the fields at Southern Virginia University. 20-3 York is on top here in men's lacrosse action. Fourth quarter still to come. Reminder, folks, that gear.svu.edu is the official online store of Southern Virginia University Athletics. Gear up for the summer with all kinds of outdoor and tailgating equipment and apparel at gear.svu.edu. 20-3 right now. York starts this fourth quarter with the lead. Knights got the first goal of the game. Casey Rich got the goal. But York came roaring back, led 15-1 at halftime. Outscored the Knights 5-2 in that third quarter, but the Knights were able to get a couple of goals, one by Casey Rich, one by Tony Good.
Yeah, and I think, the message here is the Knights have the ball. You just want to see them maintain possession of the ball and get some decent shots off. That would be my focus. Just focus on getting the ball, holding it.
Nice save by the goalkeeper on a good shot taken there by Casey Rich.
Of course, at this point, you're not going to worry about the scoreboard. You just want to do the right things. You want to play clean and finish out the game strong regardless of how the scoreboard finishes. And it just gives you something to work on and build on.
Jake White is the new goalkeeper for York. Landry Marshall started today. He's 13-1 of the season. White, the main backup, has played just over 72 minutes this season in goal. Knights started with Carson Franklin, the freshman in goal, and then switched to Ian Arve. And so 14:24 to go. Timeout taken, 20-3 your score. And as you mentioned, Seth, right now Coach Lamb just wants his team to kind of focus, try to build a little head of steam for the non-conference Virginia Wesleyan game on Wednesday and more, especially the game coming up a week from today, the final game of the regular season on the road at Wesley.
Yeah, you kind of have to look at this final quarter here as sort of a glorified practice or scrimmage. Obviously, the game matters, but the score is kind of out of hand. You might as well get a jump on whatever you're trying to do against Virginia Wesleyan and then Wesley, which, it's not going to be huge changes, I imagine. I imagine it's the same type of system they've been running. So work it, practice it, make sure you're running it clean. You know what you're supposed to be doing, and it's a way to at least get something beneficial out of this last quarter.
Yeah, the Knights are really going to need that Wesley win, most likely. If they were to lose that game, they would finish 2-5 in the conference, and that would open the door for a team like maybe St. Mary's to try to get one or two more wins down the stretch and just try to slide by the Knights. The Knights obviously hoping that St. Mary's, a game behind them coming into today, continue to lose, don't pick up any more wins. The two bottom teams, Wesley and Marymount, are 0-5. So the Knights hopefully will try to get a win next Saturday at Wesley, and if they do, that should most likely solidify their spot into the conference tournament, in which case, then if you're talking about being the number 6 team, then most likely you're going to be playing the number 3 team in the opening round of the conference tournament. And again, that could be Frostburg, that could be CNU. As York scores again, a diving shot taken by number 3, Branca Sale. He was able to get that shot away as he was falling to the turf. And he picks up his 4th goal of the season. That's several times today, or at least a couple of times, where York has had a player falling to the turf and still able to score the goal. Logan Lund will take this draw along with Ryan Powers, the sophomore. So York had 21 goals on Wednesday in their victory. They just have been pounding the opposition of late. They beat Wesley 21-0 on Wednesday, beat Marymount 17-6 a week ago. You knew the risk, Seth, when you were facing the number 3 team in the country, that it had certainly the possibility of not being the best senior day possible for the 4 seniors who were honored before the game today in Greg Gowdy, Kiwi Giroux, Ryan Larson, Casey Rich.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of how the schedule's played out. Usually on senior day, you'd hope to play a weaker opponent. But you know what would mean more to these seniors, I think, would be – so the shot goes wide, would be, to make that conference tournament and play well and, possibly sneak a victory there somehow.
Yeah, we talked about this a few weeks ago, that if you're going to beat Salisbury, anytime's a good time, I guess, and you can include York into that now. But if you want to have a win in the regular season or a win in the conference tournament, you probably would prefer to have it come in the conference tournament. Right,
and I think conference tournaments and postseason play, all kinds of things happen. It's more likely, I think, that you would see that more than right in the middle of the regular season. But, obviously Southern Virginia's going to have their work cut out for them if they make the conference tournament. But once you're in, anything can happen. All you got to do is really get in, and you have as good a shot as anybody if you can play your game and dial in what you're trying to do.
And the Knights do have 2 conference wins today on the road. Arve tried to knock that ball forward. Drennan picks it up. Knights do have, again, 2 wins this season in conference tournament or in conference action, and both of them were road wins at St. Mary's and also to begin the season at Marymount. So York with the ball again, ready to go here with a 21-3 lead. And a wide open shot there that time by Gunnar Reynolds. It looked like he almost got left alone by the defense. He spun to his right, found a big opening, and picks up his 3rd goal of the season. Almost looked like a defender had him covered and then let him go.
Yeah, it just looked like Reynolds there noticed the defender just kind of relaxed and was looking to where he was going to pass, and as soon as he saw him take his eyes off, he just took advantage of that position the defender had.
So a 7-2 advantage here in the second half now for York. They led 15-1 at halftime. And the Spartans just keep going. Battle for the ball after the draw. Picked up by Ryan Powers, who took the draw. Powers passes from left to right, but he threw it past a teammate. Rare mistake there by the Spartans. Knights will have it with 11:22 to go. Now, let's see, looking forward, I believe we have women's lacrosse coming up on Wednesday against Greensboro. Monday, perhaps. Monday at 5 o'clock. Then baseball from Rockbridge County High School coming up for the Southern Virginia University baseball team on Wednesday. And then Seth, next weekend we've got a doubleheader. We've got baseball next Saturday at noon, followed by women's lacrosse next Saturday at 7 p.m. And, of course, that'll be senior day next Saturday on April the 15th for men's baseball and women's lacrosse. And softball will close out the home schedule on a Tuesday and also Wednesday the following week on the 18th and 19th of April. And then that pretty much is it. Then you're into the conference tournaments.
Nice physical play there by Tony Good. Maintain the possession in the Knights' attacking zone. Really would love to see another goal here, possibly again by Casey Rich or one of these other leaders on the offensive end. But work your offense, work the fundamentals, and start to perfect your craft here.
Casey Rich has 2 goals today. Tony Good has the other one. It's amazing the way that Sean Lamb just has really not been much of a factor at all on the offense.
He's been such a force, for the team offensively. You got to think that a lot of these teams are starting to, so the shot goes wide, starting to take Sean out of his game just because he's done his damage this season, scoring goals, but as well as setting up other attacking players that are his teammates. He's gotten those assists, and so you got to think that if you can stop Sean Lamb, it really shuts the offense down, which York has done today.
That last possession saw a nice effort by Ryan Larson to go through a couple of defenders and take that shot. Knights have 1 goal in the first half with Casey Rich and 2 goals in the second half. 1 by Rich, 1 by Good, and turnover there by the Spartans. This is one of the seniors, Giroux, number 11 with it. Over to Arave, the goalkeeper, now Maxfield. Nice, looking for their 4th goal of the game. Cook goes to Lamb behind the cage. Sean's tried to go one-on-one at times, tried some spin moves. He just has not been able to look for a good shot. Now he fires. It's blocked away by the goalkeeper for York. Good save there. And that was probably Sean's best scoring opportunity of the game so far.
Yeah, it really looked like it. Ooh, turnover at midfield here. Tunick with the ball.
Tunick works through a couple of defenders.
It certainly makes life a lot easier when you have goalkeepers who are that solid, as we see the backup goalkeeper here.
Oh, Tony Good after a nice pass by Spencer Tunick. Tunick found him in the middle, and Tony Good with his 2nd goal today. He went low on that shot and picks up his 14th goal of the season. So Tony Good's got 2 goals, and Casey Rich has 2 goals.
That's good work. Good positioning there, and Spencer Tunick able to make the unselfish play, looking for a teammate, and Tony Good just putting himself in the right position.
So the Knights have their 3rd goal of the second half. See all the crowd out there supporting the 4 seniors who were honored before the game today in Kiwi Giroux, Greg Gowdy, Ryan Larson, and Casey Rich. York, after giving up that goal, they usually strike pretty quick, and that time they threw it away. This is Tyler Drennan moving it upfield for the Knights. Casey Rich with it now. He's got 2 goals today. He gets inside position, gets tripped. There's a penalty flag. So again, reminder, we'll have women's lacrosse coming up for you Monday, 5 o'clock. Then Wednesday afternoon, we've got men's baseball. And next Saturday, doubleheader. Men's baseball at noon and women's lacrosse at 7 p.m. And the Knights women's lacrosse team has kind of struggled here of late, Seth. They've really had a hard time in Capital Conference competition, although their game, I believe, coming up on Monday will be non-conference against Greensboro, and they're just looking to end the season with a couple of wins.
Yeah, and they've really been just short-handed all season. They've
with a nice shot there.
Injuries have really, really hurt them. And they've had a lot of fluidity on their roster, having other people. Oh, point-blank shot.
Oh, nice pass by Sean Lamb over to Brady Cook. And Cook, who scored 2 goals against Frostburg on Wednesday, picks up his 1st goal today, and that'll be his 7th goal this season. It was a great pass by Sean Lamb.
And you see Sean Lamb, he has that ability to, set up his teammates for success right there. It doesn't get any easier there for Brady Cook. But York's defense has just done such a good job limiting Sean Lamb's touches and his effectiveness. But you see there, and Sean Lamb he's so young, he's a freshman, he's going to be so big going forward for this program. You see the ability there, that field vision to find his teammate.
So the Knights have actually not done too badly here in the second half. They've only been outscored 7-4, whereas at halftime it was 15-1.
Right. And you see,
here comes Logan Lund with it.
and part of that, is York having some of their backups in and things like that. But it has been a better effort without a doubt.
And Lamb scores.
There we go.
Sean Lamb getting his first goal of the game, going through 2 defenders and picking up goal number 31 on the season.
We've preached a bunch, Jim, too, about how important momentum is, and while this really, really has not gone how they've wanted today, you're playing a team, Virginia Wesleyan, and then you're playing Wesley, and if you can win those 2 games, you've got to feel better. Your confidence is going to be up entering that conference play, and as we've mentioned, anything can happen in conference play, and you've got to start picking up the pieces now and looking forward to when and play the game that you've been coached your whole life how to do it.
And it would be an achievement too for the Knights to make the conference tournament in back-to-back seasons if they can, as you mentioned, beat Wesley next Saturday and solidify that spot. And once you've done that, that's one achievement. And then the next achievement will be to win their first Capital Conference tournament game.
And just going down the roster here, you see. There's a good number of juniors on this team that are going to be seniors next year. That going forward, you're excited about. You have things you can look forward to and build on if you're Coach Lamb. You just want to finish the season strong and look to make some even more noise next season if that's possible.
And of course, the Knights have had a couple of key players from last year's team not back this year because of missions. Really, Zach Daneman and Peyton Kimber were 2. And I know in talking with Jason Lamb, he mentioned that those 2 were offensive players, attack players, and what they really need to do, I guess, and it's tough, it's easier said than done, but you just really, a lot of focus really goes on the guys scoring the goals. You need to add in all areas of the game. That includes goalkeepers and midfielders and some good defense players.
Yeah, definitely. And just real quick, I was looking through. It looked like a pass to me, but they're going to award. Interesting ruling there. I thought that for sure was a pass, but
oh yeah, didn't think that was a shot.
No, but looking forward to next year. I mean, right now on the roster you have 11 upperclassmen, 7 juniors, and nice
penalty flag too is thrown.
11 upperclassmen. You've got 7 juniors on the team right now, 4 seniors. A lot of those juniors are getting playing time right now, and behind them you have 7 more sophomores. So next year you're looking at 14 upperclassmen, guys who are not just, haven't been just sitting around, but a lot of them have had impacts and been in the games and making their presence felt. So there's a lot of good numbers there that are going to help this program propel forward in the coming years. You don't want to look too far ahead, but it's good, and it'd be even more impressive if you can end strong on this season and feel like you've got a good thing going into next season.
And maybe a couple of years from now, perhaps, in addition to new recruits coming in, getting guys like Kimber and Daneman back from the mission and ready to play again, because they were just tremendous offensive players last year for the Knight. So York, having given up a few goals here, 5 to be exact in the second half. Trying to battle here for goal number 23 on the game. Harvey's actually played pretty well for taking over for the freshman Franklin. Even the backups for York, they pass the ball pretty crisply, and they get another goal. Jamie Lilly, I think, was able to get that one, number 13. He's a senior, and if that was 13 Lilly getting the goal, trying to see if he's got anything in the way of goals this season.
Yeah, that looks like it'll be his 3rd goal of the season for Jamie Lilly there. It was one of those pretty much point-blank shots. You mentioned even the backups there for York, really well, fundamentally sound, crisp passes. They know what they're supposed to be doing on offense, and they ran it really well right there.
So York now with 8 goals here in the second half, 15 in the first half. Knights have 5 in the second half after getting just 1 goal in the first half.
Ooh, nice move by Casey Rich
through
there.
A double team, And the ball blocked away by the goalkeeper.
He really split the defenders there, though. That was a pretty spry and quick move for Casey, being 225, 6'2", but you see how the reason he's had such success here at Southern Virginia is his athleticism for his size is just, it's hard to come by. You don't see it very often.
This is Lamb, who has 1 goal on the game today, moving down the left side. Nice pass to Tunick, and the ball blocked away. Gunnar Nemeth, by the way, is into the game. The 3rd goalkeeper to play today for York. Coming into today, he'd only played 2 games, 19 minutes.
Another nice move by Casey, and he finds the goal. He used that same little slide step. He split the defenders, and he put the ball on the turf to scoop it into the goal. Good work by Casey. Even though, the senior day hasn't gone how he's wanted, I believe that's his 3rd goal today, right?
Yeah,
and
30 for the season now.
It's got that hat trick. So it's something to hang his hat on, and you see him there working his feet real well. Again, you talk about how big he is. Such an athlete for his size, and that's just really helped him his whole career here at Southern Virginia.
Yeah, for those who are interested in personal battles or individual stats, I guess could be a good battle with 2 games remaining in the regular season with Sean Lamb with 31 goals and Casey Rich now with 30 goals as to see which player is going to wind up as the top goal scorer during the regular season for the Knights. I don't really feel Sean or Casey care too much about that.
Yeah. Well, they might, in the back of their minds, I think, as just to be honest, you don't want to be selfish, but there's a sense of pride of you wanting to be the best you can be, and I don't think they discourage, the other player from playing well, but they want to play the best that they can. So nothing wrong with a healthy rivalry, right?
As long as somebody's scoring the goals, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure Coach Lamb would say the same.
So after trailing at halftime 15-1, the Knights have seen York score 8 in the second half. The Knights have scored 6. And they played much better here in the second half after falling behind 15-1 at halftime. And just 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in this regulation game as Tunick scores. Spencer Tunick, his first goal today, is 15th of the season.
And, we mentioned how, a lot of York's starting lineup is out, and they've got, another goaltender in there and everything. And that possibly has, something to do with this spurt of goals here. But another part of it is you see how Southern Virginia, they know the score of the game. They know that, some of the other guys for York are in. They have nothing to lose. They're playing more relaxed. They're playing more confident, and you see it result here. And if you could just get in that mindset, whatever it takes to get that mentality from the start of the game, this game probably looks a lot different. I don't know if you had a chance to beat them, but it at least would have been a more presentable and competitive game that Coach Lamb would have wanted to see.
It just seems like the energy level by the Knights has been turned up a notch as Lamb loses it, but there's a penalty flag. Logan Lund was able to win the draw, get ahead, getting into the attack area. And it just seems like the Knights, as you mentioned, at times playing against backups, have really raised their energy level a notch or two. And hopefully that'll carry over to Virginia Wesleyan on Wednesday and especially next Saturday at Wesley.
And that's a good point to bring up. Energy and effort have nothing to do with your skill, nothing to do with how good of a lacrosse player you are. Energy and effort is just you. You can give that no matter what. And you're right, Jim. It does seem like the energy has picked up. You got to find a way to give that energy the entire game. You can't let that intimidation get inside your head. You've just got to play 100% all the time. And good things happen to players who give the most effort. That's just a kind of a rule in sports. You give it your all, good things are going to happen to you.
And if the Knights can score here, they'll actually be even with York in the second half, 8-8. It was 15-1 at halftime. Knights looking for an opening. Tunick, who just scored, over on the right side to Sean Lamb, who's got a goal in this game today. Now Tony Good, who's got a couple of goals. Knights looking for a good opening here.
Had some crisp, clean passes here. Nice no-look pass right there.
Oh, what a pass by Brady Cook over to Sean Lamb, and he scores for the second time today, and Sean now has 32 on the season.
That was cool. And those, that kind of pass, that fancy no-look pass that worked, that only happens when you're playing relaxed and you're playing smooth and letting the game come to you. Good work there by Brady Cook, and, of course, Sean Lamb being point blank, doing his work and doing his job to put the ball in the net.
Yeah, the Knights look like just a radically different team no matter whether they're playing first-teamers, second-teamers, or third-teamers for York. They just look like a totally different team here in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, definitely, and it just comes back to that effort, I think, has made a huge difference here. And, it's something to hang your hat on. It's something you can build on. You just got to find a way to get it from the beginning whistle to the final whistle.
And York scores. Looked like that might have been Cody Sweeney getting the goal for the York Spartans.
The new goaltender, that was Derek Lamb in goal there, giving up the goal. So the Knights have switched it up again there.
Sweeney picking up his third goal of the season. So Derek Lamb, the third goalkeeper today. We've had games where the Knights have gone with 4. Garrison Cook. I don't think we've seen Garrison today. We have seen Ian Arve and Carson Franklin and now Derek Lamb. So just 1:12 to go, and York picks up their 24th goal of the game. And that's the most they have scored all season long. They had 20 against Elizabethtown, 21 in their game against Wesley on Wednesday. But they have 24 today, the most goals that the Spartans have scored in any one particular game this season. And now we'll see if they just play keep away for the final 52 seconds. York with this victory today, they're going to improve to 6-0 in the Capital Conference and 14-1 overall. The Knights are going to drop to 2-5 in the conference, 4-8 on the season with 2 games left. Wednesday night at Virginia Wesleyan, next Saturday on the road at Wesley. Looks like York just wants to run the clock out here. We'll see if the Spartans take one more shot at the goal. They do, and score from outside. Gunnar Reynolds picking up his second today, 4th of the season, scoring with just 13 seconds to go. It didn't look like Derek Lamb was expecting maybe a shot.
Yeah, they kind of lulled them to sleep a little bit there, assuming they were going to run out the clock, and Gunnar Reynolds fired from deep, was able to find the net.
So York picks up its 25th goal of the game. That's, again, the most they have scored all season long in any one particular game. They had 15 at halftime, 10 so far here in the second half, just 13 seconds to go in the game. Logan Lund has taken all the draws today for the Knights. York has it, and now we'll look to see if they'll run off the final few seconds without taking any more shots. And it looks like that's going to be the case. So a convincing victory today by the York College Spartans. They saw Casey Rich get the opening goal today and then proceeded to score 15 unanswered goals to take a 15-1 lead at halftime. And they go on to outscore the Knights here in the second half, 10-8 for a 16-point victory. And York wins it, Seth, 25-9.
Yeah, York displaying right there exactly why they're the third ranked team in the country. Summary of the game, they just are crisp, clean, they don't make mistakes. They let the opponent make those mistakes, and then they just take advantage of them. And the Knights didn't do themselves any favors. Those we've talked about, that fourth period especially, was a lot better for them, a lot cleaner, better effort, and they were able to put a streak of goals on the board. Some things to build on as they go forward into these final 2 games of the regular season.
Yeah, Casey Rich, I believe he had 3 today. Sean Land had a couple of goals. Tony Good had a couple of goals. And others to score included Spencer Tunick as well for the Knights, who, again, got 8 goals in the second half. They trailed 15-1 at halftime. And the game was pretty much over at halftime, but the Knights were able to really play with a lot of energy in the second half. And they were only outscored in the second half 10-8. And now we'll see if the Knights can carry that energy, that little bit of momentum they were able to get in the fourth quarter, maybe, Seth, to try to build upon this with the non-conference game coming up Wednesday night at Virginia Wesleyan, and then most importantly, coming up on the road at Wesley next Saturday in their final regular season game, hoping to win that game to clinch a spot in the Capital Conference Tournament.
Yeah, in these last two games for the Knights in the regular season, two very winnable games. Going to be huge for their psyche, and of course that last game against Wesley, huge to make the conference tournament. But if you can go in, win these final two games, get your psyche up, get the momentum back in your favor, and get excited for that conference tournament play.
And it would be something to have qualifications for the conference tournament back-to-back seasons like that. That would be certainly another step in the right direction for this lacrosse program. And I'm sure Jason Lamb, the head coach of the Knights, would tell you at that point, now it's time to take the next step, and that would be winning the conference tournament game that the Knights would be in. But first, before they can win that conference tournament game, they have to go on the road to Wesley next Saturday, nail down that last conference game, and qualify for the conference tournament.
Yeah, making the conference tournament second year in a row, you kind of the term you hear in sports is a lot of the time is knocking on the door. So the program, if they can make the tournament again, you'd really be knocking on the door, and I'm sure Coach Lamb is really looking forward to them breaking open the door there and get a conference tournament win, if not this season, but possibly next season. But some good things to build on. Not the best game for the Knights today, but again, there's some things they can work and build and take from this game and look to improve going forward in these coming weeks.
Seth, great to see the team go by the fans, including, of course, the four seniors who were honored before the game today, and Greg Gowdy, Kiwi Giroux, Ryan Larson, and Casey Rich, who I believe scored 3 times today.
Yeah, and it's always tough. I'm sure it was an emotional day for them, but they know they have these final 2 games. Their careers aren't over, but we thank them for their commitment to the program, all their efforts. They've really made a difference, even though today didn't reflect it. They've made a difference in this program, helping these stepping stones to bring it to the next level. So we can't thank them enough for all that they've done.
And good luck the rest of the way home, Wednesday at Virginia Wesleyan and next Saturday at Wesley, to Jason Lamb and his men's lacrosse team here at Southern Virginia University. That'll wrap things up. Final score again today here from the fields at Southern Virginia University in men's lacrosse action. It was York defeating Southern Virginia by a final of 25-9. I'm Jim Bresnahan for Seth Hansen, Josh Adams, and all of our production staff here at Southern Virginia University. Thanks again for joining us, everyone, for Knights Lacrosse.